Okay. You know what time it is, man. Versatile Vigilante, first official Arizona episode. And
What's up?
who better than the man himself, Mr. David Morgan?
Hey, what's up?
How are you, bro? It's great to meet you.
Good to meet you too, Vince.
Hell yeah, man. Great to chop it up with you. This is a very special interview for me because you're the first, as I mentioned, first person in Arizona that I'll be interviewing. Of course, if anyone's watched, Toronto, born and raised, moved out to Arizona. So, David, thank you for being my first guest, man. Really
I love
appreciate it.
Thank you. It's an honor. It's an honor. I'll do my best, guys.
Oh, we're out here, and we're in nice, beautiful downtown Phoenix apartment. Shout out to our host, Ben. But without
Beautiful.
Very nice place. Without further ado, though, David, I've been, since moving out to Phoenix about a year ago, going to events, hearing about different things, and I'd see your name quite a bit as kind of a staple in the Phoenix art community. So you're born and raised in Arizona?
Yeah, I was born in Peoria and pretty much lived in Peoria for 13, 14 years of my life. Then when I got older, started living in Glendale. Just kind of lived all around the valley. I've lived in Mesa for 6 years. And then for the last 5 years, I've been in downtown Phoenix, which is kind of like been my artistic home for probably like the last 16, 17 years where I've been showing my artwork and stuff. So just all over the valley. I love it though. It's there's definitely has been a lot of changes, but yeah, I love living out here. I could do with a little bit less of the heat, but other than that, it's a great place to live. There's always something going on.
I agree, man. I came out to Arizona for like a little vacation a few years ago, I think 2022. And honestly, I was kind of surprised with how much art community there was, especially in downtown. So it's kind of interesting to hear that that's where you've called your art home in a way.
Yeah, it's weird. It's growing up here, I feel like there's always been a really strong creative community. I remember going to Saguaro Ranch Park when I was a kid in Glendale and like seeing little classes where if you're a kid you can go and they'll teach you how to paint like a little horse or a rabbit or something. Or there was always different creative outlets growing up. So I feel like there is something special about the desert when it comes to creativity. What that is, I can't really put my finger on it, but there's something there, and it's interesting that you notice that because yeah, that is very true.
I 100% feel you on that, man. There's like a spirituality about the desert, I think. Like when you're just kind of out here, you're seeing the cactus and all the vastness, it's so different. I come from a more city, like urban feel, like kind of more on the East Coast side of Toronto. It's kind of like a Boston, New York. It's not spread out like this. It's not. It's different, man. So coming here from a different planet, it feels like a different planet almost.
Oh, I bet. It's open. It's very open. I think sometimes when you're in an area where there's a lot of like mountains or hills or larger buildings everywhere, you can't really see too far off. But here, when you come out into the desert, you could look for miles and miles and miles. And there's a lot of colors. We have unique vegetation that is very alien. The saguaro cactus only grows here, and it's just such a gigantic, magnificent, plant. And there's a lot of like different correlations between that and native cultures. And so there's a long history to everything that is here too, that makes it so interesting and mysterious. Sorry, I don't know.
Hell yeah.
Mysterious, but it's cool that you noticed that. Yeah, because I feel like that's something when I was a kid too. I kind of recognized that too. I'm like, there's something about Arizona,
I certainly feel so. And also just like where it's located, it's close to Mexico, it's close to Vegas, it's close to California. Like I feel kind of in the middle of the whole West. Like it's.
Oh yeah, it's a good center point. Yeah,
it is.
It's a good center point to be in. And if you go 2 hours to your north, 3 hours to your north, you're in a wooded area.
Yeah, it
you
feels
know?
like the Pacific Northwest out there.
Yeah.
Flagstaff with all the trees, all the rain.
Yep, you're immediately in a new climate zone, you know? So, I mean, as much as you can complain about, oh, the valley, the heat, which I do, I'm talking about myself right now. It's like, all I have to do is jump in my car and literally drive 2 hours, and I'm 20, 25 degrees cooler at the very least, you know? So there is that. It's a beautiful spot. It's definitely very special, especially in Phoenix too. It's like you could feel that creative kind of like magic in the air, you know?
Absolutely, man. So as I've mentioned, I've noticed your name around quite a bit, and you mentioned you've been making art for a long time. I read an interview you did a few years ago, and you mentioned that you kind of were doing a bunch of jobs. You're working at a bank, I think you might have said, and then you're like, I gotta do this on my own. That really fascinates me, man. Can you talk a little bit about that experience?
Yeah, totally. It's funny that you mentioned that too, because the bank that I worked at, one of the locations was just right around the corner from where we're at right now. So
Full circle.
what, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, I was literally in a building right over there, you know, living a completely different world. And just like, I can't like rag on anybody who has like a 9 to 5 job and is doing the thing when it comes to like showing up and because a lot of people love what they do, you know what I mean? And at the time, I just had a different calling, like something else was pulling at me, and it was art. You know, it was just this thing that I felt from a young age, like, okay, there's something that I want to do with it. I remember when I was younger and I'd be walking around, I'd see art or I'd see paintings around or wherever I was at, I'd go, oh, that's awesome. I love it. I want to do something like that. I was always just kind of looking at it like that. So that kind of fire inside of me has just kind of stuck with me, and it did with the bank job too. And I kind of got to a point financially where I was like, okay, I could kind of take a leap here, you know, and I could invest into this. And I was like, if I'm going to invest into anything, I need to invest in myself. And I had been doing art shows, and I came up in around the mid 2000s, right down the street from here, showing my art off of Roosevelt Row, and it was a completely different like world. You know, it was just the neighborhoods were different. It was more kind of grassroots, you know, and basically it was just the homes. People would get these homes, they'd open them up, and they'd turn them into galleries. And you could just walk around the neighborhoods, and there was always something going on. So it was just a fun experience, and having that as a place to kind of like get me going at a young age too also steered me in a direction to where it's like, okay, well, there's a place where artists are doing something, like there is an outlet for this calling that I have. And I slowly just kept on doing it, kept on putting stuff out there, and eventually started painting murals too. Probably like 12, 13 years ago, I started painting murals. And that was that gave me the ability to kind of financially be like, okay, let me try this out. Because I would sell paintings here and there, you know, but I wasn't getting as much like traction or I don't know. I wasn't getting as much attention compared to a giant mural where it's big and colorful and people could see it, and it has this, if it's in public, then it has this presence where people can, oh my gosh, you know, it gives you kind of like this ability, this advertisement almost, to where people are like, oh, we saw your painting at da 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 da. We saw your mural here. So murals kind of really stepped up, I think, my ability to kind of get myself out there too.
I could definitely see why, because I've seen some of those murals around. I've seen actually a couple of yours as well, and yeah, like it just grabs you, man. It just there's what are you supposed to do? Like you said, this huge portrait just in your face outside. You know, you can chill, see other things going on there. I think that's a great way to build the brand.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's murals are it's so crazy because it's like you kind of feel like a little when you're painting canvas, you know what I mean? I'm just sitting there, I'm moving my arm around. If I'm drawing, I'm just moving my wrist around for the most part. When you're painting a wall, you're like a little dude over here and you got to go everywhere.
Yeah.
You got to figure it out.
Got to get the ladder out.
You got to get the ladder out, so you kind of like just ups the scale as far as like, okay, how am I going to do this? Like, I don't need a paintbrush. I need a airless sprayer,
Right.
with high PSI, whatever, and pressure to spray the paint on there. So it's cool. Like, it's cool to be able to kind of like hop in between, like, I could pretty much do it all at this point, draw, digital, paint, and with the mural stuff too. So having that, kind of figuring that out too, was a fun process.
Yeah, man, I can only imagine as a creative person, you want to challenge yourself, try different things. I think that's a great way to do it. How did that first mural come about? You mentioned it took some time.
Oh yeah. I used to help curate at this little what was it? Vegan food restaurant gallery, and it was called A Side of Heart. It was on Fifth Street, off in between Garfield and Roosevelt, and it was cool. And basically, they gave me the first shot of like, "Hey, we have a fence. You want to paint it?" And I was like, "Yeah." At the time, I was just discovering spray paints that were specifically manufactured for artists. So had it been probably 10 years before that or 15 years before that, I would have been working with like Rust-Oleums and trying to figure out like how to make it work. But now you had, due to basically graffiti and that whole movement, with obviously the history of them painting walls and trains and everything, there was a want around the world for, hey, people like making art with spray paint. So companies realize that and they go, cool, well, let's make spray paint specifically for artists then. Let's make the paint more opaque. Let's make the cans have less pressure in them so they can control it better. Let's get tips that you can put on the can so you can have smaller diameter circles and do more detail. Like, let's make stuff specifically so artists can go out there and try to like just create. So it was a cool time of like just being out on the streets, being by a gallery, helping curate it, and then just like figuring out this new medium for me of spray paint. And the way I first went about it, which was kind of like whatever works. I already knew I didn't have the hand control, right? When I first started off, I hadn't really worked. The only time I'd ever worked with spray paint is I would get something when I was a kid. Maybe I had a toy car I wanted to change the color of, and I'd paint, or a bike or something, and I'd paint just whatever. It wasn't like actually making art with it. I'd be painting something. So that was the only knowledge I had. So I had to I would incorporate painting with it, and I would incorporate like different stencils, and I was just trying to get what I had in my head out. And I was like, whatever I got to do to get that, to make it look like that. So I would incorporate different stencils and stuff. And then as time goes on, you kind of figure out, you figure out how to control it. You're around, you paint around other artists. You see the way other artists do it, and then you start to get more confidence with it. The thing about spray paint is, the more you think about it, the more you get inside your own head, it comes out. It comes out in your hesitation. And the more confident you are, to where you get to this point where you don't really care if you mess up or you do good. If you're in that mindset, then you're able to kind of like free flow, and everything kind of goes together really well. But as soon as you kind of go, can I do that? Can you do that? Now you do have that question because you just put that in your head. But as time goes on, you start to put in more hours. That goes away, and you're like, oh yeah, I've done it 1,000 times, But in the very beginning, I did notice that, and yeah, it all started with A Side of Heart, and I would also combine like different painting murals. Like I do paintbrush murals here and there too, and then I do spray paint ones. So just painting larger and figuring that out too, because I had come mostly from drawing at a young age, and then went from drawing to brush painting. I didn't have a background of graffiti art, which a lot of muralists do. But I was lucky because my brother was a old graph head. He was an old writer. He's 10 years older than me. And he actually did, graffiti and would write. So as a kid, I always saw him doing that style of artwork. And when we would draw together and just kind of hang out and make art together, we would do little collaborations. And I would inevitably I would be drawing letters too. And I'd be drawing different graffiti looking characters at a young age.
Right.
And it just was because of my brother, basically. So as I got older, I think that's why I went into the spray paint direction and the mural direction too.
That makes a lot of sense to me. That's what you're seeing. That's what's cool. Of course, your big brother, you're looking up to him in ways.
Yep.
That makes a lot of sense. Your story is really interesting because I like how you touched on, you just need experience. I think that's true with any field, whether you're in the legal world, whether you're an artist, whether you're a singer, whatever, basketball player, you need experience. You can have all the talent, but you need those reps. But what I also liked about what you talked about was, hey man, when that self-doubt starts to creep in, that's usually when that confidence falls and you're not taking as many chances. So I think it's so interesting how in a field like art, essentially, like any other field, you got to be confident in what you're doing. So that's really interesting to hear that.
Yeah, confidence is a big part of it, and that all starts with really the mental and how you're going to look at it. And still, there's areas in my life where I need to apply that too, but when it comes to art, I always was like, okay, I have to have confidence with this. What I'm doing is focusing on it. It's a study. Mm-hmm. It really is like a study and you want to be around other artists. That's why it's so great that we're in a city where there are things like Danelle Plaza and these different shows and the different art stuff that's happening, because as an artist growing up, and at any age really, when you see how other artists do it and you hang around them, you learn from them. You learn from them, and there's a good energy there too, and you guys can all work together and everything's going good too. So that's a big part of the learning process to be able to get that confidence too and figuring it out.
Absolutely, bro. I think that's super true of you. You have to find your people. Mm-hmm. And I relate to what you said earlier about having the day jobs and, it's just not working. I have one too, and I feel similarly. And I think oftentimes what I come back to is I just don't feel like there's a fit here. Like the things I like is more on the creative side. And in those structured jobs, it's kind of sometimes tough to do that. So I definitely think the people and environment you're around plays a huge part.
Yeah, it was motivated. Any job I've ever had motivated me to make art more.
Yeah, to not have a job anymore.
It really did.
For real.
Anytime, maybe the first couple months, it was like, this is going all right. But as time went on, it was like, no, I want to be creating. I want to be making stuff, especially, when you feel like there's this calling that you have that's there's something else I want to be doing right now. There's something else. Because really, essentially, it's just time.
Yeah.
I've been at jobs before where, hey, it's our slow season. Show up to work and nothing's really going on, but it'll pick up in the next month or so. But you got to show up to work for 8 hours. So they're taking your time. They're paying you to just stand around. And then when you're in situations like that, you really notice how much could I be doing right now in my life to better my life? But right now I'm sitting here looking at a table, or looking at a screen, or just twiddling my thumbs. It's and I've been in situations before too, where it's well, let me bring in a comic book. Let me bring in something to where it's at least I don't feel like I'm wasting my time. And they're like, yeah, no reading comic books. And you're like, well, then give me work to do. But you know what? It's just, jobs are good though too, to be able to, if you can get the right job, it can sometimes put you in a position where you don't necessarily have to do what everybody wants you to do too.
Right.
Especially as an artist where, hey, I'll do a commission for you. I'll do a commission drawing. I'll do a commission painting. turns into this thing where you start turning into this person who just does commissions. Oh, and mostly around here, which is, I love painting the desert. I grew up drawing and painting the desert. But in Arizona, if you're going to be doing a lot of murals and stuff, 90% of the time people are going to go, and we want you to paint us a desert, and it's cool, but you get to a point where you go, there's more I want to paint.
Sure.
So if you can have something that is a steady income to where you don't have to do what everybody wants you to do, then it's good. And with the internet and with all the different called artists everywhere, that's kind of where it's at. It's just like, okay, let me find one of these called artists that fits what I want to do, and then just start putting in applications for that and start finding the different art shows that you want to be a part of, and just kind of like game planning as far as that goes. So I have had little gigs here and there that were kind of like part-time within the past 4 or 5 years, but they were all art related. You know what I mean? Like they had me painting and doing different stuff. So it's cool. It was a job technically, but I was doing art, and it was a way for me to kind of get some consistent income. So it depends kind of how you work it. But once you get to a good point too, where you're starting to get, those bigger commissions coming in, then you're good to go. It's like,
you got to get the ball rolling first.
You got to get the ball rolling.
Goes.
Yeah.
I heard an interesting quote too from this guy. He said, he was talking about he was like a graphic designer, and he was always freelancing, and then he got a full-time job, well paid, all that. And then, as you said, like after a while, he just like, oh my God, like this is just taking too much time. And he had a really good phrase. He's like, I like having jobs. I don't want a job. Yeah. And that's an interesting way of putting it. Like, I'll do this. Yeah. But to be 8 hours, 40 hours a week in one fucking spot every week, it takes up a lot of the soul.
It totally does. Yeah, it takes up a lot of the soul, and depending on who you're working around, if you're working around good people that you get along with, more power to you. I take my hat off to you. But we're in crazy times, and if you're working around a lot of people, chances are you're working around some couple knuckleheads, and you're going to be seeing and dealing with them every day. And that's hard to deal with, in this day and age where everybody, I feel like, wants to project whatever is going on in TV or whatever they got to project that out in the break room, and you're like, why? I came in here to eat a bagel, man, and go back to work. I'm not trying to get into a debate, like. No,
it's like yelling at the TV, man. It gets you nowhere.
It gets you nowhere, and it's like, and it creates, everything, especially nowadays when you're talking about media that's getting seen by millions of people. It's like, it's all divisive. It's all
of it.
It's all, there's a master plan, in my opinion, and it's all going towards whatever, and we're not in control of that, and I'm not trying to fall into the petty arguments that are created by, because there's just going to be a new thing tomorrow and the day after that. So it's like, let's look at the big picture when it comes to a lot of that stuff.
I 100% agree, man. And that's where I think art is a really important outlet for stuff like that, because, hey, man, I'm just creating something. No one's given this to me. It doesn't represent anyone else. It represents my thoughts, feelings, what I want to put out there, whatever it is, painting, interview, whatever. And I think that's a really important thing, man, because I feel with the divisiveness, it also comes with fear of standing out. And that's like, hey, man, if you're going to be great and do great things, you got to stand out. It goes hand in hand. So I think that divisiveness, it just makes people scared to actually be themselves. And that's why I think having art communities like the one you're talking about is so fucking valuable for any city, because it shows, no, there are still some people willing to take a chance. And you know what I mean?
You're totally right. Yeah. Knowing that you have a support group and people that kind of are like, okay, yeah, we're going to give you that place to be able to get out what you have inside you, whatever that may be, to say that statement and to have other people appreciate it is huge. And you're totally right about that too when it comes to when there is this conformity, when there are these invisible lanes of like, okay, this is the safe path. I don't want to this is where I'm going to go to just not step on anybody's toes. Well, what if you want to step on some toes?
Yeah.
What if there's something that does need to be said?
You put a ceiling on yourself.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not bad to go that direction, but you'll never reach what you fully can.
Yeah.
If you're really just, at the end of the day, I think it comes from being afraid of what people think, and you can never really control that anyway, so who cares?
Yeah. Yeah, you can't control what people think of you, you know. There's
Okay.
always going to be, and the more of a name that you make for yourself, guess what? Now everybody can see you, and you're gonna have people. Now you've put yourself in a position where people are gonna judge you,
Yeah.
and that just is what it is. And some people are gonna like what you're doing, and some people aren't. You know, and so there's a realization of that too, of like knowing, okay, whose opinion do I pay attention to, and whose opinion do I go, oh, okay, yeah, whatever. That's just, you know.
Yes.
It's
If my
just
mom says you're being a fucking asshole lately, I'm gonna listen.
Exactly.
You know, but if it's someone who I think's a fucking asshole,
yeah,
might weigh a
you're
little
like,
differently,
no,
man.
okay, I kind of know where they're coming from.
Yeah.
You know, let me just ignore that.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, you're exactly right with family too, especially if they're a good meter, you know, because they've known you the longest. So
Yep. Yeah, I love that, man. So you mentioned you were curating events, stuff like that. That's also something I'm very interested in. So I saw on your Instagram you had a paint punk event, and it really looked very cool. Like, I even read your description. You're like, you know, I wanted to keep it free and punk. I remember reading that, and
Yeah.
you had a bunch of artists performing and showing off their work. I'd love to hear kind of the origins of that event.
yeah, the origins of that event. Thank you for asking me about that too. That was cool because that's a lot of like positive memories too from when we first started that. Basically 2021, you know, around May or June. I think it was before they came out with a vaccine, or maybe it was around the time the vaccine started coming out. So the mental stress of pretty much everybody was high, you know, and there's a lot of questions. But here's the thing about it. We had been inside and we had been paranoid for the last year and a half.
Yes.
Right? Everybody, you know, there was just a lot of stuff. I'm over here spritzing my groceries off with Lysol. I'm making rooms out of plastic. I'm walking. I mean, I literally my mind went to 28 days later, and it was like, hey, how long could I survive? Because I hadn't necessarily seen somebody sick yet. So I'm like, how bad is this thing get you? How bad is it going to get? And that was like maybe the first like 3-4 months. But then year and a half later, now you've found, okay, a pace to live at. I have this certain pace I can live at, but the old ways of how life was before COVID, basically, of, hey, you go out every now and again, you have fun, you go to a show, go to a bar, whatever, hang out with the friends, that had been taken away. And people had this want inside of them. And I had this want. And I knew if I felt that, other people felt it too. And it was like, okay, you know, things seem like they may be turning around here, but let's safely get together. You know, please bring a mask if you want to wear a mask. It's completely fine. You know, we'll do social distancing stuff. It's outside. But we got to get together. And we got to fucking listen to some music and get some art out there and get some people painting and get some people setting up booths and getting people together again, because that we were missing that. You know, there was something missing like in your heart where you're just like, oh man, there's something I want to do. I want to get out there and hang out. And I could feel that. And I was like, what's a good event? I love punk music. And I had some friends that were in punk bands. And I was like, okay, cool. We got the punk band thing on check. And my friends said that they'd be down. I think they were in the same, you know, they just want to get out there and play. Mm-hmm. And then I know a ton of artists, you know, and I was lucky enough to find a space. It was a collaborative effort. Like, there was a guy that I knew who had a space. I knew artists and just everybody. It wasn't just me. It was different people that came together and put this event together. And man, when we had that first one, and it was off of Grand Avenue, right by a mural that I painted like a month ago, right down the
Is that the
street
one with
from
the
it.
guitar?
Yeah,
I
the
saw
one
you
with the
posted
guitar.
that.
is right around the corner from there, like right
Nice.
there. And they just opened up this little dirt lot area that they had, and that's where we live painted. And the energy and the feeling was just of love, man. Everybody was just, it was, you could cut the positivity in the air with a knife, man. And it's like you left just feeling re-energized and recharged. And I was like, that was beautiful. And I was like, at the time I didn't realize it, but it's like, I just naturally thought, let's make it free. Like my mind never went to, I'm going to charge you.
Right.
My mind was like, let's get people out there and just kind of like, let's give people something. Like, let's not make money off of it. Cause there's something, and this is where maybe I'm not the best businessman, but there's a part to me that was like, yeah, if you monetize it, you know what I mean? Like it just has a different feel to it. It doesn't feel right, you know, especially when you're talking about punk and stuff. And so, yeah, that's where it all first started, was coming out of a dark place where it's like people needed to express themselves, you know what I mean? And art, and music, and dancing, and just poetry, people wanting to express themselves is so special and unique. And that was a cool time.
That sounded amazing, bro. When I was looking at it, I'm like, that's right up my alley. Like, I would love to. Love to go to another one. If you throw another one, I'll be there. And actually, that's a goal of mine. I'll put this on camera as proof, but throwing my own event in Phoenix is something I'd love to do. So maybe we could collaborate on something down the line.
I'd love to, man. That'd be awesome. Yeah, we'll have to talk about that.
Hell yeah, 100%. But it's refreshing to hear that, because I always had a similar thought process of the money thing. Like, fuck, man, I start to take advertising or promote, you see it on every podcast now. Like, yeah, here's my ad. and I love it that you're making money.
Hymns or something.
Yeah, it does change it a bit, man. It does. And then with the corporatization of a lot of things, a lot of cool stuff, it's been around forever. Selling out is the term you use. I feel like punk has always been nah, fuck it. We're not selling out. Like, fuck your money. We're people. We can... Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, I like that you did that. And yeah, I feel you on that too. It's not the best business decision, but there's other things. Yeah. There's other things more important sometimes, right? Fuck.
Yeah. Sometimes it's about the people.
It is.
And in situations where it's like, if you can get the right businesses to back you, then it's kind of like, okay, cool. I'm cool with the people that run this. They're backing it a little bit.
They have a cool drink or something. That's the drink, stuff like that.
So on a smaller level, I think you could still make it work. And that's kind of going forward. If I do another one, I would want to be in a situation where I could pay the musicians, the artists too.
Yep.
So it's like people are still getting in for free and still enjoying it. But, when you see people bringing out their speakers and their setup and then they're doing the sound, and then you got artists bringing their paint out, it's like you look at them and you're like, okay, these people need to be getting some money. So if I do it again, I'd want to set up, look for some sponsors and stuff to get them paid, basically.
Yeah. That's a really honorable way of looking at it. And I threw an event in Toronto a few years ago as a art gallery with similar to kind of what you did, just various artists that I knew in the city, and it was completely free. But after, I'm like, damn, it was a great experience if I can get just a little something to put back into it.
Yeah.
Even like just to level up on it, I think that would be awesome.
Yeah, just for the next one, just to be able to keep it running smoothly, because especially throwing your own events, you invest a lot. You invest a lot of your own money, you invest a lot of your own time.
Very stressful too.
Very stressful. And I remember during the time a guy was like, I was looking for different speakers. It ended up working out. But I was like, I think I'm going to have to rent some speakers. And I was talking to this guy, and he was expecting like a concert, like a whole show. And I'm like, no, I just probably need one or two speakers. And it was like, huh? It was like, dude, don't even talk to me. Like, So I'm like, all right, let me not approach it that way. So you kind of have to, but if you're in a situation where you do have the financial backing, the space and the permits and like everything like laid out perfectly, it's awesome. Go about it that way. But it's also punk. Mm-hmm. So it's also, if it's a little bit rough around the edges, it's kind of like, well, it wasn't meant to be so squeaky clean too,
Exactly, man. That's kind of what I meant about corporatization. Like, Everything just clean. I saw an interesting video recently on YouTube where it was like pulling up companies from the 90s. It was like the Nickelodeon office. It was all like blue, purple, green, like huge designs on it. Now the office is like white. Like there's nothing on it, just the logo. They showed the McDonald's. Remember McDonald's back in the day, the play places, all the color, the game, Nintendo and the
Hamburglar.
Exactly. And then they showed McDonald's now and it's just like a brown building, you know? So they talked about how a lot of the color has been kind of stripped, and that's why I say it's so important to have just things that go against that grain, because it's not as frequent as it used to be. So got to keep doing it, man.
Oh, you're so true. You're so right. If you go into a space and it's just all bare walls, you know, it's like you may as well be in a prison cell. Mm-hmm. But the second you interject it with something creative and something artistic, it immediately lets you know that this space is something more.
Exactly.
Whatever that may be, there's something more to the people that reside here. There's something more to the people that design this. There's something more here, and that gets your creativity going, and that gets you inspired, you know. And that's art has such a powerful presence in that, especially if you're working a job that is creative, or you're working a job where you're trying to like. I mean, I don't want to help McDonald's, but you want to sell to kids. Like, why not make it a fun experience? I think that's what it was back then too. It was like, let's get everybody dressed up, the little McNuggets running around and stuff. I used to love those commercials.
Hell yeah, man. That's one thing I feel like they kind of stripped fun away from a lot of that stuff. And I completely agree. If I'm having a good time, I'll spend more money. Yeah. Probably, you know? Yeah. As opposed to just feeling like I'm in that prison setting, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
But you mentioned you're a big punk guy. Were you ever in bands?
No, I was never in any bands. Just a listener. I have a sister that's 4 years older than me. I grew up listening to a lot of like heavy metal and stuff, and then probably around like high school, college age, started to listen a little bit more punk and get into that. NoFX, and they're a big one that I like. I
had to wear my Ramones shirt today for the paint punk, you know?
The OGs, man.
The ultimate OGs.
Yeah, for sure. Gabba Gabba.
Hell yeah.
Hey, you know what I mean?
Sorry to interrupt you. You mentioned Danelle Plaza, Yucca Tap Room. Super sick punk vibe. And I saw they had Ramones pictures in there from like the 70s. So that blew me away.
Yucca's legit. It's a great place. Yeah, what a venue to go to.
The Lemmy Mural.
There's something for everybody. Yeah, the Lemmy Mural.
Fire.
And they got the electric Bad Arcade pinball.
Sick.
Yeah, it's a special place.
Man, everyone who's been like a punk, anyone who was like a punk star was there.
Yeah.
It's crazy the pictures they got in there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a piece of history. Yeah, definitely. It's got to stay like that too. So, I'm proud to. Maybe one day we'll have a paint punk there. I don't know. We'll have to figure that out.
That would be sick. Shout out to Yucca Tap Room.
Shout out to Yucca Tap Room. So, but yeah, that's kind of where my love for music started when I was younger, and then I got a little bit older, got more into the punk. But I also fell in love with like the anti-establishment, like no judgment, no matter how weird you are. You know, you can come at it with your own style. Like you could kind of come at it unorthodox, not coming from any kind of like specific area, and you're not going to get like anybody kind of like talking crap to you. At least you shouldn't. If it's real punk is about accepting and just like going against anybody who is like judging anybody else, you know?
Right.
And it's so freeing to be around that. So I love that. I love the energy. I love the spontaneity of, and the different kind of punk and stuff out there too. What is it? There's a really good punk musician, Andy Warpigs, as well, who is, rest in peace. But he was a guy that I would, I don't know, I just would see him around downtown Phoenix playing in different shows. I did a couple art events where he was playing music at, and he was a big influence too. I feel like his music was, as far as when I was coming up in the art scene in downtown Phoenix, his music really embodied like what the feel of downtown Phoenix meant to me. Andy Warpigs.
That's an interesting. This is a tough question, but I'm curious to see what you say. What would you say is the feel of downtown Phoenix? We've touched on it a bit, but
You know what?
it's tough to put a finger on
It's
sometimes.
changed. It's changed. But there's so many different, I don't know. There's so many different like looks, in this city, because although some structures have changed, and so there's some different places that have gone and some new places that have come that are great. There's still that creativity. There's still that magic in the air. Still, the people that have lived here for a long time. You got your people that have lived in the neighborhood for years. They're still around here, and then the new people moving in. But there's still people coming here wanting to express themselves. There's still that element, and I would just say the vibe would be that a creative vibe, because I think that's what intrinsically people know too when they think of downtown Phoenix. If they've lived around here for a little bit, they're like, okay, that's where there's art happening,
Yeah.
like that's where the creative people are, that's where something is happening. That and Tempe and Mesa, more cities are getting built up, but I feel like Tempe and downtown Phoenix, it's like, okay, there's stuff happening here.
Yeah, that's where I live in Tempe, and I've always felt that too. Because it's kind of an interesting contrast too. You have the ASU side of things, but then you have the old, like, I feel there's still like a bit of a hippie feel of
Yeah.
Tempe. Like where Casey Moore's is and those types of spots.
Oh
And
yeah.
like there's still and like there's old musicians
A
out there
music
too.
head vibe. Yeah.
Yeah, I really like it out there for that reason. And actually, I'm not sure if you're much of a Morrissey fan or a Smiths fan, but when I was moving out here, like the day before or something like that, I saw Morrissey filmed a video in Phoenix back
Really?
in like the 80s or 90s. I'm like, that's a sign, man. Shut up. That's a
Nice,
sign. I'm going to the right spot.
Heck yeah, dude. I didn't even know that. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
I'll send it to you. I forget the name of the song, but that's where I kind of feel about Phoenix. It's like, okay, of course, LA is always going to be getting the most attention. That is what it is. Vegas is always going to be nightlife and all that, but Phoenix is right in the, it's there, like there's something there unique as well.
It's definitely, the Mexican culture, Mexican American culture is very strong here. Just everywhere you look, you're reminded of that. So there definitely is that element too. And that adds to just kind of like how special everything is and the history of everything, and just kind of like, the crazy thing about the valley too is the history that it has had with different kind of like neighborhoods and segregation between different kind of like cultures and stuff like
Right.
that. And then within probably like the last 40, 50 years, now kind of everybody's more melding together. But there's still that old school element of like the last whatever 50, 60 years where you could see, okay, this is where, certain cultures have been living here and there. And it is cool though. It is cool that to kind of get everybody to get that history going on, and still kind of have a presence in a positive way out
Yep.
there,
I
with
agree.
that. So yeah, South Phoenix is right there, and that's where, there's a lot of amazing art all over the place, and and
There is.
there's you're gonna find little enclaves of murals all over the place, and you'll find some really old murals out, in South Phoenix and stuff like that too, and around here, and that are starting to deteriorate, but it gives you like, oh, that was the vibe the last like
Yeah.
20, 30 years.
There's one in Tempe. It's off Apache and McClintock, and it's a Pat Tillman mural, the football player that died in the war.
Yeah.
And it's getting worn down, but like every time I see it, it really strikes me, like, because it's just a picture of his back, like you see the number, but his face is not on it, whatever, and it's just like this interesting feel. I don't know what it is. I don't know if you know the one I'm talking about, but
I don't know.
yeah, if anyone knows that one, I think that kind of summarizes what you're saying of like how you feel it through that work.
Powerful.
Yeah.
Sounds like, yeah, really captures there's little gems. There's one right down the street here on Grand Avenue. I think it's on like 15th Street, just like south of Grand, and there's a little corner store. I wish I remembered. I'm so bad with names, but there's a mural of that's been there for years of like a dude who's like been shot, and there's like Jesus behind him,
No
and
way.
you're like, holy crap! But just like the setting of like the neighborhood's a pretty tough neighborhood, but it's a powerful mural when you're driving by and you see this big, you know, 2-story painting of like this kind of scene. You're like, wow, you
Might
know,
have to go check that
catches
out.
your I could send you the directions
That'd be
too
great.
on that, but yeah, even in that whole little area right there too, with some of the things that are going on, and it's just it kind of it gives you a little snapshot of like yeah, you kind of look around, this can be a bad neighborhood
Oh, yeah.
from time to time, so maybe, you know, there's people out there that this has probably inspired them for the better, you know, pointed them in a good direction. So that power to be able to kind of like teach people in its own way is so cool.
It really is, man. And you touched on like Mexican influence. I see it in your art as well. Definitely I've seen you done like some skull type stuff, even like tattoo-ish type of style in a way. I really like it, man. But my favorite thing, so recency bias, you posted it somewhat recently. It was a sticker you made of this like hot girl riding like a cheetah or a tiger or something.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, totally.
I fucking love that, man. If you ever make a print of it, I buy that from you.
Totally. I need to grab some for you, dude. I'll give
I
you some
loved
here.
it because it's just like it's felt very big. It's very big. Like that one, you put it in a room with a million other pieces, it's still gonna grab attention because you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
Thank you, bro. And that's really what it's about, right? It's like, I think at a young age, I realized, okay, how are you going to get people's attention? Like, what are you going to do to kind of just make people at least look and go, wait, what is that? And there's a point in time where I would say to people, I want your grandma to look at it and say, what the fuck is that? Because that was the level I wanted to take it to, of like, what am I looking at?
Hell yeah.
Because otherwise you're not even going to pay attention. You're not even, it's just another whatever, and you're going to keep on going about your day. So that was one of those kind of pieces where you got the aggressive cyborg saber-tooth tiger with this beautiful, you know, you don't know, human, android,
Yeah.
you know, what's going on with her, but she's some type of advanced kind of like being sitting on this tiger with these little bird jets behind her, and you're like, what am I looking at? Like, there's
Sick.
an ancient feel to it, but then there's also a really realistic, like futuristic feel to it too, and it's
Even,
like,
even a little cowboyish. I got a vibe of that.
yeah,
know?
totally.
I loved it.
The cowboyish probably comes in naturally with like the desert and stuff like that, and the colors. Maybe, you know what, without even realizing it, I probably have a little bit of cowboy. I mean, I'm a city boy, don't get me wrong, but I feel like it probably somehow comes out in my art sometimes too, like that, like a cowboy maybe.
And that's the great thing about art too, man. You could be something. You could go this way and then go a completely other way.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That's the whole fun.
That's what I love. From when I was a kid too, I basically like taught myself how to draw. I took art classes, and I was blessed with really good art teachers growing up. But it was also a thing where I had like a regimen. You know, it was like I would draw every day, and it wasn't just randomly drawing. I got to a point where it was like, okay, let me draw cars because I need to know how to draw a car. Okay, let me draw this because I need to learn how to draw this. So it's like I put in all this time at a super young age just drawing every single day to kind of like figure that stuff out. And I think that putting in those hours kind of like got me to like just being able to circulate that in my head. It made me realize I have to do different stuff. Not only is it more interesting, but I got to keep myself interested, because I get bored with just doing the same exact thing over and over. I have to switch it up. I have to change it up because I have to keep it interesting for myself. And that's kind of like where the base is at. Like, what do I want to do? What do I want to make that I want to see myself create and be like, oh yeah, I like that. And then that's kind of the direction that I go in.
Very relatable, man. Very relatable. And I think too, sometimes seeing a finished product that you completely, it came from your mind and now it's on something, it's almost like a drug in a way. Like, it's like, damn, that's such a sick feeling when you see it really might not turn out how you expected it, but it turns out,
Yeah.
and it's awesome in your eyes, at least. Nothing like it.
Yeah, you're totally right. Yeah, when you're in this situation where you're, okay, can I do this? Like, is this? And then you go from that to where, fast forward however long it takes you to where, like, oh, end product, here we are, like, it's done. Yeah,
Amazing.
man, that is, yeah, that's the best feeling ever of accomplishment. I love that. I
Because
love
you
that
you
feeling.
know what, like, you put into it. Not everyone's gonna see in a painting. No one really is gonna see the work you put in, because you're painting. You're doing what you got to do, hours and hours. They see the final product. You know what you put into it.
Oh God,
You know,
yeah.
I think it's like a very much.
You're right.
Honestly, I feel only the person that creates that work can really feel that. I can be like, damn, bro, you killed this. I'm sure you did so much on it, but I'll never really know because I wasn't there.
That's where the magic's at too, man. And that's where I'm laughing because I'm just thinking about some stuff I've recently worked on where I felt like the universe tests you too, man. Like, okay, you want this? Well, we're going to throw this and this and this in front of you. And you're going to have to deal with that while you're making this mural or while you're painting this painting. And it's like, okay, I got to do that. But,
And it's almost like it's a guarantee that that's going to happen. Like, something will happen every time.
every time, anytime something big is coming your way or something important is coming your way, guess what? Get
Curveball.
ready. You're going to be tested.
Oh, yeah.
And I'd hate to bring it up, but it's look at Will Smith. Denzel Washington told him, hey, you're going to get tested. And, he goes out there and slaps Chris Rock right when he was winning that award.
Yeah.
That was
He's-
everything he had worked for.
He's gone down an interesting path.
Yeah.
Will Smith. I choose to think of Will Smith as a Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Yeah. Yeah, classic.
He's yeah. I mean,
Independence Day.
Independence Day, man. Another guy where I don't know him at all. I don't know you, bro. But I could see him getting
No
too
hate.
caught up in other people's opinions of himself and then go down like
Yeah.
the crash out path.
Yeah.
You know,
he
take it
doesn't have his
easy.
finger on the pulse anymore
No, he
because
doesn't.
he's become too disconnected.
Have you seen his new like rap stuff?
I just seen a clip where somebody wasn't saying something too great about it.
It's just like who's gonna listen to this, man? Like, no disrespect, but like
Too
kinda
much
what you
yes
said.
men.
That's it. Exactly.
You know?
Like, a kid is not listening to that.
Yeah.
It's just not
you-
gonna happen.
You got to have, you know what? It's like a muscle. You may have been Arnold Schwarzenegger, Mr. Olympia one time, but if you don't work out for 15 years and then you go back in that gym, you go, hey, let me go lift this, whatever, 500-pound thing, you're not going to be able to do it.
No.
You may be able to get two big guys beside you to lift it for you, and then the camera will shoot it in just a way to make it look like you're lifting it, but people are going to be able to tell what's really going on, and they're going to go, that's not real. And it's like whatever it is you do, you have to dedicate yourself to a certain degree, and it should be okay because it should be something that you want to do. So that dedication should come natural. If you're going, oh, I got to do this, when it comes to the outlet, like, I don't know, there should be a certain point where you're like, okay, I do. Sometimes when you're in the midst of doing it, it's kind of like whatever, you're going through the minutia, and that sucks. But there should be overall this feeling of like, I want to get this out there
Correct.
too, And I feel like maybe if he was going to do music, he should have just sat back. This is what this is what I do if I was Will Smith. I want to get back into music. You know what? I got a ton of money. I don't need to work another day in my life. Let me just sit back in a recording studio and just make music for the next 4 years. Not even put anything out, just make music, man. And just get into what it is to have fun with that and to really enjoy that. And then after that 4 years, let's assess to see if what I have sounds interesting to people, and just try to put it out there to people in small ways. Not like try to come at them the same exact way, like, because that doesn't work anymore. People evolve, things change. That time isn't what it is now. And I feel like when it comes to art, nowadays, everything is very much, it's starting to go to what the businesses are. It's starting to go into what it was when I was in the corporate world. And it's always been like that to a certain extent at a professional level. But then there's also the artistic level. Like if you're a person creating artwork for a magazine, okay, yeah, your time, there's a deadline. This needs to look a certain way. If you're making product design, cool, that makes sense. That's part of business. But when you're an artist creating, why do I want to be like, okay, let me make 20 of these in an hour, and I'm going to make sure that I could. I respect artists that can do that, but for me, it's also like, what about the dude in Japan, making the thing that his grandpa made, that they've been making it for hundreds of years, and they're sitting in the same shop that's been there for 600 years. And then when you look at the way they look at it, do you see them rushing? Do you see them going like, okay, I just made 10 of these. I just know they're focusing on that one singular thing, and they're putting a lot of care into it and a lot of respect and a lot of pride and everything. It has a different level of respect, and that's what I try to like treat art like too. And I'm sometimes get pulled the other way, but I have to pull myself back and go, no, man, when you were a kid growing up, sitting down at your table drawing for hours on end and looking at it like it's the coolest thing and how special it was, and then reading a book on a subject and then watching a movie about it and trying to go out to places to research it and look up stuff about it and getting infused with the energy of whatever your subject was, and then sitting down and really focusing on it, that's where the magic comes out. And that's where you're going to put in that extra finesse and you actually care about it. But when you start thinking about how quick can I do this, how much of these can I do, things get a little bit looser, they get a little bit sloppier, they get a little bit less special.
Yep.
And we're in a day and age where AI came out, great. AI just made me these 10 images in 2 seconds and I don't need to do anything and it's already done the best. But the reality is that AI is copying people. And you're already, as an artist, kind of wanting to do something different than what everybody's doing anyways. So why do you want to put yourself into this box where it's just going to show you a combination of all these different things that are melded together? Now, certain situation, it works great.
Exactly.
It's perfect, but not every situation. When it's your special thing,
You can't fucking just try to... I've used this word many times now, the corporatization, the AI stuff. To me, it's you mentioned rough around the edges. It's just trying to smooth out those edges and make it more digestible for everybody. That is not what great art fucking is. That is not. It's supposed to be somewhat polarizing. It's supposed to be, from someone's creation. If it's artificially created, then it's not art. It's an image. You know what I'm saying? It's if you put out a song, it's cool, it sounds good, but the soul behind it is what really comes out, and there is none. So that's where I've always looked at it as like, if you want to use it, cool, man, but you're essentially signing up for like the mediocre tier. Like there's no way you can call an AI thing great because the whole thing that makes it great is not there. That's my opinion, but.
Oh, you're totally right. Yeah,
I think I don't even care about it, honestly.
Yeah, it's not. There's no story behind it other than just somebody typed in some prompts, and I know artists who use it, and I don't want to judge them because they use it in certain areas where it benefits like what they're doing at the time.
Use it as a tool.
Use it as a tool.
It.
But just don't forget the other areas too, and also taking a step back and taking your time to do the study and get into really what the subject is that you're creating and having a reverence for it. I feel like when you type something into a computer, you're immediately going, I don't want to spend the time I don't want to dedicate the energy into so you're coming into it with that. You want to come into it with all right, this is what I'm doing. This is a part of me.
Motivated.
You're motivated, dude. It's just you're putting everything we do, especially if you're creating it by hand, you're putting your energy into it, man. And then when you put it out there and people love it, they infuse their energy with it.
Hell yeah.
You know what I mean? And there's this thing that is special to that. It's a very special thing that's happening between, I can't explain it, but there's an energy thing going on. And and I think that somewhere along the line, I feel like just instinctively, like if you're doing that with the AI kind of like it doesn't have that same kind of feel to it. It takes away from that whole process.
Yeah, for sure, bro. And I'm not even using this to pick on AI because I felt I could say the same about like a blockbuster movie where it's just all special effects and explosions. The story's not there. I could say it about a song where it's clearly just a structure that other bands have had success with, and let me try it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
there's always been that way of, I feel, a lazy type of creation, corporate type of creation. I think AI is just like the method of choice right now.
The method of choice.
Yeah,
So
it's always existed. I mean, punk started because of that, essentially.
do it yourself. Yeah.
Exactly. So I think it's an interesting time of like, it's still so new that we don't quite know where it's going to go. But I think a lot of these things also do create cool subgenres and like subcultures of like, I don't want that shit. I want this.
Yeah.
You know, so that kind of is my glass half full view of things.
Yeah. It's always, yeah. And I feel like more so, I'm waiting for a couple more years, and they're looking around. They're going, okay, who's actually using paintbrushes? But it's never going to go away. And you see a bigger, just like what you said, you're seeing that niche kind of like people are starting to kind of lean back in the direction of, no, I want to paint, I want to draw. Right?
Yeah,
It's your life. Like
absolutely.
it's everything's a self portrait in a certain way, and it's like. Yeah, you want to be able to have the experience of doing it, whether or not you fail or succeed or whatever. You at least want to try.
Absolutely, man. And I feel we're seeing it in other arenas of like, I'm staring at a bunch of nice vinyl records right now. The importance of physical media, I think, is coming back where people are buying more, even like going back to DVDs in a way, because streaming is so divided. There's all these different streaming programs. Spotify, do they really pay the artists what they should? Are they good for the consumer? Let me just go buy a record or a CD. I own it now, and I like that. I think that's a good thing to try to keep of like, nah, man, they can't censor it if you own it.
Yeah,
So I like that. I feel like that's kind of where I'm thinking the AI stuff will go. Like, fuck, you have AI, I'm gonna get my real
just
shit.
pure corporate.
Yeah.
We'll be seeing more Coca-Cola commercials
Yeah,
with
take it.
AI
Exactly.
and that kind of like level of
Yeah,
stuff.
it's already gone, so take it,
And then you're right. It'll probably revert back around where they realize like, oh, but then you know what they're gonna do? They're gonna lean too hard into that.
Oh, for sure. They're going to burn it out, man. That's 100%. Squeeze it for everything they can.
Squeeze it for every. They're gonna get their own kind of like corporate person in there to put on the act and stuff. But
It'll happen. That's why it's always good to have people like yourself that are willing to take some chances, do some things more on the community focus. Very important because that could inspire someone else to do it after you even, and that gets that ball rolling like we talked about.
yeah, totally. It's cool, whenever you're making something and somebody comes up and appreciates it or messages you or hey, I've heard, like this whole situation too where you're like, oh, I looked your art up, and it's very humbling, and it's just like, thank you for appreciating my artwork.
Hell yeah.
And that it can inspire you, and it just got you to look at things a little bit differently. But yeah, we'll be okay. You know what I mean?
Exactly,
as far as all
man.
that
Keep
goes.
going.
Oh, I was gonna say too. Yeah, I have some friends too that are like making different albums, and they're putting them on cassette tapes,
Yeah.
and they're making like little packages of
Hell
just
yeah.
like different stuff. And I'm like, that's smart.
Smart,
You're right.
man.
And
You
you're
get
saying it
something.
right there. Yeah, you got something. It's unique. It's limited run. You have it, like, oh, there's only 60 of these. There's only 70.
Yep.
I can't go into a store and buy this. This is a one-of-a-kind, unique thing that can, really just hit a lot of different areas, too, when it comes to the cool factor, basically.
Exactly, man. Yeah, it's cool to see. I think things naturally evolve. We'll see what goes on from here.
Yeah.
But listen, it's been about an hour now. Time flies. I really appreciate your time. I want to give you an opportunity to maybe promote anything you got coming up, social media, whatever. The floor is yours.
Yeah, let me see. I'm going to be part of different art shows coming up here. There's a I think a recycle bike shop show. I think that's coming up in March. That's going to be at the Danelle Plaza. Right now, there's a Cultivating Joy show at the Rocket Space at Danelle Plaza. There's going to be a Valentine's show at Third Rail on Grand Avenue, where it's all these different custom like heart panels. That'll be a good one. There's gonna be a ton of artists in that one. And I'm just always doing something. I got a new website in the works. I'm gonna come out with that soon. And just planning on getting back to my roots, and then also expanding some of the murals, and just trying to take it to a bigger level. So
Sounds good to me, man. It's great to meet you. I really appreciate your time. What's your social media again?
Oh yeah, my social media is D Morgan Art on Instagram and Facebook.
Awesome, man. Follow David. Always got some really cool stuff going on. But I appreciate you, bro.
Thank you, Vince.
Great first interview in Arizona. Versatile history. We're out here, man. 2026. Let's get it.